Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is FMA discussion. In tonight's episode, we are featuring Guro Royce Ramos, and we've been trying to get him on here a few times, and he's finally obliged us. And so we're excited. We're looking forward to us. He's going to show us a demo, and we're going to cover his journey from start to present day. And we're also covered. He's got a weekend seminar coming up this weekend. Those of you who are on the New York area, you can catch that. He's having featuring Tuhan Mel this weekend, and I believe the 6th and the 7th, if I'm not mistaken, 9 to 5. So again, if you're in that area, you can catch Tuhan Mel. But without further ado, if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from, and smash that like button. We're just getting started. And, all right, so I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, Dean. Again, I'm rather new and a little gun shy with this stuff because, I'm not exactly something I'm used to. But I hope I can provide any kind of information, insight, or anything of value to anybody who's watching who might be new to FMA or interested in FMA, and anybody who's been around who knows me. Hi.
Yeah, no. We're gonna cover it all. So let's just get before, pre-FMA, because we usually all have a journey before we got into FMA, depending on our age. I find very few just jumped right into it unless they were, overseas or what have you. But as far as the States is concerned, generally speaking, we all had some type of traditional martial art before we got into FMA. Not everybody, but for the most part. So what was yours? Did you fall in that category?
Yeah. So those who don't know, I am first generation Filipino American. I was born here, New York, born and bred. I only know 2 languages, English and bad English. And
bad English. That's a whole umbrella for everything.
Yeah. So growing up, I used to watch I was exposed to like martial arts movies at an early age. I loved watching kung fu movies. I grew up on kung fu theater. During the time, anybody remembers that time frame? Kung fu theater, and my mother was going to Taekwondo, and because she worked in the city, my father worked in another town over, so he said you should learn something to protect yourself because he can't always be there. And she was like, okay, so she started, and then after a few years, she introduced my brother, and then shortly after myself. I started about 5.5 years old when I started.
Oh wow! Okay. Early.
So I've been training for a while. Did Taekwondo, some gymnastics during Taekwondo, and then afterwards, when we were pulled out due to money, everybody goes through money issues. I practiced with friends whoever taught or trained in anything, we trained together. Kickboxing, long fist, mantis, whatever.
Anything with an animal.
Yeah, anything where the other person goes, ouch, we tried. Freeze, whatever worked, and it all develops. I didn't start FMA till after high school. Shortly after high school, I should say. 97.
Oh, that's about when I started. Okay. All right. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thereabouts. Yeah. 96, 97. Yeah. All right.
That was a boom, like when I was growing up, I always wanted to know, what about us in the Philippines? All the Asians ran awesome martial arts. What about Filipinos?
Right.
And my parents told me Arnis. I was like, oh, all right. Are there any Arnis schools around? I said, no. It's like it's the 80s in New York, in the suburbs. Like, there's no Filipino martial arts in suburbs of New York. Not in the 80s. Man, we were the only color around,
Yeah, if you're in the suburbs back 80s, that'd be a tough find.
Mind you, in the city, there was Grand Tuan and his crew.
Queens, yeah.
They've been training. I never knew about it till later on. Let's see, 97. I graduated into high school in 94. So in 90, so I was about 20 years old when I started. Is that right? My math's right? 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 20 years old when I started FMA, when I started Piki under my first teachers, who one of them, my first teacher was kind of did two or three Saturdays and then brought his teacher in, and then he had to do the family stuff and whatnot, kids on the way and such. And his teacher, Mandala Virgil, he trained us, and he trained in that point. He was part of that New York City crew, Tom Biggio, Vince Black.
Oh, the old group there.
Philip Jelinas, a little bit after Bill McGrath, but Bill McGrath was there for a bit.
Okay.
Thanks, Paula.
Oh yeah, we got some Tom Payne there. Okay.
Yeah. So it was cool, I didn't know all that crazy stuff and how valuable and how much immersed he was until afterwards. And we trained every Saturday for we get there like 9:30, and then we leave around 5-ish. So it was like a long day of training. We stopped for lunch, eat pizza, and then continue on. So we trained a lot, we did contact, we did stick sparring. I got cracked on the skull. That was fun.
That's always fun.
Helmets. So we did a lot of crazy stuff, so it's all cool.
So just backing up a bit, when you quoted you're around 20 when you started. So you're coming from you come from Taekwondo, and you kind of dibble and dabble with your friends and different stuff. So I mean, what'd you think of the experience? Like, here it is, you're doing like something that's weapon based. The other arts, I'm assuming, were mostly you're kicking and punching, and now you're putting a weapon in your hand. So what was the immediate what resonated with you, or what you thought?
Well, so we'll back up a little bit, going into like the tale of elementary through high school. So I enjoyed weapons. I always wanted to learn weapons. So when I found out that our art revolved around weapons, I think that's part of the reason why I adapted well. Because when I was younger, I would always pick things up. I learned Cinemali before I knew what it was. I'd watch the movies, I practice, we do a lot of stuff. Those who know me from back then, like my best friends and I should say, we would be here at my house, and we experimented with with training with weapons, but so obviously not real weapons. So what we did was we would take some wood dowels, we cut them down to length and such. We plated the tips with steel. And then we tried to kill each other. So, we've had our fair share of smashing hands and knuckles and, steel plated jabs to the chest and stuff like that. We learned a few things, School of Hard Knocks, tried to, self-teach ourselves. There was no YouTube.
Yeah.
Video learning series on DVD. You know how much some of those VHS videos cost, for a kid who doesn't have a job.
No, who's not even working. No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, Kung Fu magazine. Oh, I want this. How much?
Yeah. So, right. Yeah.
So we just beat each other during the summer. It was funny. People, our neighbors would come out. They're at it again. Bring out the popcorn. And it was
give them, without even knowing it, give them entertainment.
And we had fun. So we had fun. Yeah. And one of my best friends from high school, he was Guru Steve. He's also came up with me in PTK. He came to me at my job and said, I found a teacher. I'm like,
what's his last name? Sachs?
Figueroa, Steve Figueroa, Esteban Figueroa. He, one of my closest friends. The four of us. There was a group of us that went together. The joke was we were the United Nations because we had Puerto Rican, Asian, white, black.
That's funny. And here comes the United Nations.
Yeah, and all in height order too. Because I'm just short to tall.
Yeah.
But he was like, I found an instructor. I was like, great. In what? He was like, in Kali. He went to Kung Fu Kali Academy locally, which didn't teach Kali because the people who were opening it up had a falling out, and the people with the Kali people left.
They left, so therefore no Kali. Okay.
Right. The people who I trained with happened to be the people who were supposed to teach there.
Okay.
So it was cool, and and finally a structure. Finally got to see it. I started learning a lot of great stuff that I was like, this is awesome. This is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. I've been trying to find. Everybody always looking. That stereotypical movie character going, oh, I'm looking for a master.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee, kind of thing. I'm looking for my master, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I found him in Mandala Virgil.
Wow.
His real name is Mandala Virgilio de Carvalho. Great dude. He'll always be my first and primary instructor in PTK.
Definitely heard that name before. And we got some folks here. Let's give a quick hello. We got Guru Tom Pena. All right. Eric O'Brien, Florida. Mr. Paulo Rubio. Always good to see him stopping by. We got Guru Sachi from New Jersey. And we got Morgan, we got Eric, and we got Chad. All right. So your official, all right. So when you start getting like kind of a curriculum-based approach, I'm going to assume was with Virgil.
Sort of. It was still very much kind of like the way GT taught, broken yet not broken. There's a method to the madness, which I totally get. And we were a small group. We weren't like a large school. So you can say that I started developing a curriculum when I started teaching. There was no real foundation of curriculum because most of us had some previous experience in something,
So like a melting pot, so to speak, you guys coming together?
Yeah, we picked up pretty quickly because Steve did Kung Fu, Vic did Kung Fu and Kaiju Kambo, and I came up in Taekwondo and whatever else I could find.
Right. So you all kind of were bringing something. We got oh my God, Jolendo. Tuan Bobby's here. All right.
Tuan Bobby, what's good?
He will be coming in December with the brothers features, him and Apollo.
Yeah.
So, all right. So so you're training with Virgil. So this is early. So this is definitely pre-Tri-V formula. You're not.
Yeah, it's all Dose Methodos. I didn't hear Tri-V until 2003 when we did.
That's kind of when. Don't quote. You would know better than me, of course, but that's kind of when it came in early 2000s. Am I correct? The Tri-V?
Yeah, because that's when I met my first the first two on aside from GT was Tim Wade. It was Tim Wade, GT. We hosted him here in Nyack back in 2003. And before that, we were we went to Tuan AK's place, which is across the bridge. I met some of their people. We trained with them.
Heard that name too, Tuan AK.
Yeah, Tuan AK Baraka was also one of the early New York crew from GT, the first generation of let's call them the first generation of Tuans. And he's really cool guy. He was cool then. I've gotten a chance to reconnect him thanks to Facebook and all the COVID times of being able to reconnect with everybody. And
that was a perfect time, right?
Yeah, a lot of time. He's been very supportive. Mad cool. Appreciate him a lot. Good people.
Yeah.
So
when you say, obviously what you're referencing was pre-Tri-V formula, you say Dose Methodos. Just for the folks who might not know that, can you maybe just give us a brief explanation, like what that entails?
Well, all right. I'll try to be as. I know I'm not going to be as succinct or clear as Tuan.
Yeah, anything.
But in simplest way I could explain it is, it's a way to train, the whole concept of Bikini Tursi. There's 12 categories, 12 methods of learning different aspects. You're talking about your basic striking, footwork. You have your, contradas, counter striking, recontradas. You have your seguidas. You have your paso globo, labas, which is your break in, break out.
Break in, break out. Yeah. Okay.
Pitang Sugud, 7 attacks, Cuatros Cantos, your 4 walls or 4
The 4 walls, yeah, okay.
You have your Ayong, defensive and deflections. There's a good amount of material in it. A lot of people like the 64 attacks and think 64 attacks is the thing to learn in order to learn Doce Methodus. What people don't realize is that when GT created that was, well, everybody wants forms. He said, I'll give everybody forms. And he made a long form of 64 attacks, which has since evolved. I've gotten, I know we'll talk about it later, but, with being under Tuan Mel, this last year and 3/4 has been a deep dive into PTK, into platforms. And seriously, I've learned more in the last couple of years than I've done in the last, that's how much material has been, I have notebooks on. And the 64 attacks has evolved beyond just single stick and not. There's significantly more than I knew. And here I was playing with ideas. I can do this in double stick. Found out double stick 64 that's really cool stuff as well. It really explains a lot of material that you see in the training that you're learning over time.
Right, okay.
Your thrusting series, your breaking in series, your parrying series. There's a lot of material, and that's what 64 attacks is designed. Everybody knows your tap drill, aka break taco pipuño. Slightly different than, and I do mean slightly, from puño sombrada. There are some slight differences to its approach, but overall the mechanics.
It's very similar to what you would see in maybe Anasano blend puño sombrada.
And but then you have your single stick, you have your sparidaga, you have your doble bastón version, you have your empty hand version. So everything overlap each other, and you see that because you see that throughout the Doce Methodus. Your single stick, your double stick, single knife, doble daga, sparidaga, freaking Sibat, Sarong, Spade, Taming, Sword and Shield. So there is a plethora of material.
Yeah. I know. Like like I said, I never got rank in PTK. I was supposed to, and I just, well, you know how life goes. But all this, a lot of what you're saying, I mean, is definitely bringing back the terminology and what you're talking about and all that. But it's, I always found it, obviously interesting. That the 12 methods, and then the 64 ways of attack, and then you go into the Tri-V formula. And,
I was fascinated by it. It's really awesome. And I get it. And it is a huge art. Like Tuan Bill is
it's definitely one of the bigger systems, depending on who you're under. You see, it seems like,
people have no idea. And, and we all know about the L2 Tuans. Yeah. People that have no idea. So when people talk about stuff that happened, and I don't want to get into that with the politics, but
no.
When people talk about things that happened during a certain period, and it's like, yeah, but that doesn't account for the people who trained during the 70s and 80s now visiting the Philippines. So unless they did a Back to the Future, teleported people back in time, no, maybe there was a cross collaboration and sharing of information, but not always,
It's fascinating. When I had Tuan Jared, this is kind of piggybacking on what you're saying. Like when I was when I had Tuan Jared, it's almost like the Tri-V formula was created like a subsystem, so to speak, to get the military. Not only for that reason. I don't want to get misconstrued here or come off, incorrect. But he did allude that, it was kind of that, and
it's in a sense it was, because it was one aspect it was designed to simplify the educating soldiers and law enforcement in as quickly
as quick as you can, right?
sort of as can. And that was technically the way, original FMA was supposed to be.
Think about it. You're Cinco Terre. I mean,
Yeah.
like if you want to talk about a bridge system, Cinco Terre. You know what I mean? Like if you got to get somebody ready for God knows what, you know what I mean? You know?
Not quite Morgan. 64 attacks. Dose Methodus has been around before 64 attacks. 64 attacks came because of Dose Methodus, actually. But yes, the latest iteration is Tri-V. The Tri-V, what Tuan Mel says in the seminars actually makes a lot of sense. He calls the Tri-V method like the operating system. It bridges a lot of what 64 is. And, yes, it's not as complicated as 64, as Dulce Methodus, but, it can be, especially when you start to bridge it to the more advanced material, should you have enough time. So when you apply it, yes, it's great to teach people broadly, generally pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But then once you extrapolate those who want to go further that are not military based, that are not law enforcement based.
Gotcha. They can go deeper into the other stuff, but at least they would have a good core. Am I fair in that?
Yes, sir. And, and the beauty of it is now it helps create kind of a commonality of the foundation of material. Everything, you look at, yes, he is. You look at the, let's go back in time a little bit.
Yeah, like an operating system, right? Windows operating system 10.
Well, no, let's not say Windows because you get the blue screen of death with us. So
I'm gonna get freaking slammed by the PTK community. It was just a joke, guys.
Yes. But if you look at Morgan. Sorry, Morgan's on here. Sorry, not Morgan. Tim Wade.
Morgan would have the new stuff.
Yeah.
Morgan, you can comment. I don't want to make that assumption. Morgan went up.
Yeah. Tuan Tim Wade. He had a systemized setup and he marketed it.
Yeah. Big into Tri-V, right? He's a big component of the Tri-V, correct?
Yeah, he was part of the. They say he was part of the development.
I heard that as well. Okay.
You look at, I don't know by how much, but a lot of people were around during that same time. I'm not going to say who is right or wrong, but I think a lot of people also had a piece of it of developing it because there's a lot of people involved in law enforcement, military, so on and so forth that were part of this.
Yeah, you're probably definitely getting.
But I think he had a good portion of it because he was GT's right hand man for a little while.
That's for sure.
So, Tuan Bill, of course, had a systemized system, but more Dose Methodist setup.
Because he was way, and I don't think you correct me, of course, if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think he's incorporated Tri-V, and he doesn't have Tri-V in the system.
He has what a lot of people recognize as Tri-V, which
falls under the Contradas, right?
Not the good. Well, he has had Contradas. Contradas is part of Tri-V, of course, but the Juego Todo, Juego Torada, which my teacher even taught us in a bit briefly, but we didn't know it was Tri-V until we started doing. Okay, first thing we started doing was that ribbon, right? So one.
That's what I got. Right. Yeah. Okay, I remember that. Okay.
All the time, So.
Okay.
And, I've learned the platforms of where that came from since. Thank you to ML. But the Tri-V kind of is a little bit more than just the Juego Todo, Juego Trada. That is a bit of at the core, but it's perfect for training like soldiers and law enforcement.
Think about that.
Odd, this all angles.
They're covering themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know. There's also you can do from the reverse side too to back to a circular one. So that's and they bridge it. There's so much more. Some people do know it, of course, they're in it, but everybody really knows this because it's the most common one because you're leading power side
Yeah, power side up the circle, right? But I can see what you mean. You could do backside circle, right?
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, actually, a lot of people now are kind of getting that bridge. Actually, that's part of. And sorry for the what's called the plug, but and then we talked about it earlier. This weekend, Tuan Mel is doing a live seminar here in New
Mm.
York at my school in regards to bridging Tri-V and Doce Methodos.
That's going to be fascinating for people, I think, because you would get the old. I hate the lack of a better cliche, old, the new, and the merging, the bridging of the two. I think that sounds fascinating.
Yeah. Now you have but moving forward, you have like like I said, Tuan Tim Wade. Then now to Newark, and there's a big long pause of Tuhans that are doing something out there. And we're
Mm.
talking that's like early 2000s. Now, what do we have now? We have people like Kali Center. We have I Kali was
I
tomorrow.
got
Gonna have tomorrow.
All right.
And you have of course Pikiti University.
Mm-hmm.
These are all
Sure. Yeah.
awesome things that came out. Now the approach that both iCali and Pikiti University did, I like them both. They're both great ways to approach the training. They're
I
both
think it's great.
differences, of course, but you see certain things that obviously overlap and other things
Mm.
urgent. Of course, they're both doing their own thing, developing what works. So they're both great.
I think
Trained under both. It's
you
good.
hit on something, and this one makes me think, and I hate, and I don't want to get into trouble because I love KI, but I am very honest when it comes to this. And what I see with PTK, and these are good things, like that, like for instance, Jared, that university, that very detailed syllabus outline that Tuan Bill has. I mean, just like,
Yeah.
very organized, structured, developed. I mean, every adjective you can think of.
Oh yeah.
KI, man, like, they could use, I think, and
Something.
I think it's slowly heading that way. But I think I think they could model like after what some of the PTK organizations have done. And that's one thing I do appreciate about PTK, like the structure and the organizational aspect for a student coming up. And I'm not saying KI doesn't have it, and I don't want to get misconstrued, but I think they could,
Because
yeah.
and from what I can see in KI and a lot of other of the older styles, unless they're not like the Presos brothers who kind of did a modeled after their training after and ranking system after a Japanese background,
The Japanese, right? Exactly.
which
Exactly.
works. It absolutely
It
works.
totally worked. Jose Perry's minor knees totally adapted the
But yeah,
Japanese.
but
Yeah.
there's some guys who are still doing the old tribal way, which again has been rehashed on many occasions by people you and other people have interviewed that it was not meant for when we were training a whole bunch of soldiers.
No commercialization.
It was passing down. So
Absolutely.
it was really going to be each time was unique for each person being trained
Yeah.
because everybody has unique abilities and capabilities. So what are you going to do? I am 5'1¾" on a good day. 5'2" on max. So, what am I going to do? I am not going to freaking spinning heel kick someone in the head who's 7 feet tall.
Yeah. Well, don't worry. This guy is not doing that either. So.
My,
Yeah.
but yeah. It's great stuff. I love every bit of it. I've had the opportunity to learn a little bit from Guru Dan, Tuan Dan in Santos. Actually, I like to call him Tuan because it's it has a little connotation to what the PTK that he's done, but he has a multitude of Southeast Asian arts knowledge and skill and wisdom. It's like
Yeah.
I can't even scratch it. Then you have people, I've touched a little bit on Kali Illustrissimo, but it's been forever. I have touched on some Estacado recently with Grandmaster William Bernas. he's really
He's coming on soon. I keep
yeah,
I keep hearing that name.
and he's beasting, man. You see his workouts, he is beasting on the weights.
No, I keep that name just keeps so I'm matter of fact I got his name now. I'm just gonna make a point just to get him on. I keep hearing his name.
Yeah, got to visit and train very little bit, but still a little bit. Grandmaster Rodell Daglock.
Oh yeah.
Really great people. Funny person.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I would that I would have never guessed from afar. You know what I mean? From afar.
When you watch him perform and train and teach, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
When it, when his home was hit during the last hurricane, and Tuan wanted to do something to help him, I was all over it. So that's why.
Yeah, no, that we just
support for him.
No, that's awesome stuff when you hear that. People coming together and helping one another.
Yeah.
Let's we got this is all great stuff anyway, and the comments are reflecting that. But let's get when do you meet? Because obviously Tuan Mel is your teacher now. So when do you cross paths with Tuan Mel? When did that happen?
So I met I was at a Doug Marcaida seminar, and it was not the last one he did, but the second one he did. Wait, second one? No, first one. It was the first one. We did 3 seminars he did in the Westchester area because of the forest fire. So
I do recall.
Yeah.
2017, 2018, something like that?
2016, 2017, 2018.
Okay.
And during the first one, I saw someone I had known, and Guru Mike's son, who's training under Tuan Mel. And Guru Mike's son was there with his brother, and we saw each other when we were talking. And he's like, come on, check out Tuan Mel. I'm like, at the time, I was like, who the hell's Tuan Mel? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Because I did not know he was going by Tuan Ramel was going under Tuan Mel. It didn't click until I met him.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So I was like, oh, you're Tuan Mel. But I got invited out, so I went out to the seminar. 2013 was the time frame I started coming doing more seriousness with my teaching, because I started in 2010 with the teaching. 2013 was basically, late 2012 is when the school became mine, and I went from there. And in 2013, I was like, okay, I'm going to go out and learn more. I think my education needs to improve. I want to learn more from people. And that's when I found out about, Dan and Santos coming in, then later on meeting up with Doug Marcaida, then meeting up with these guys from Brooklyn. So, and New Jersey. It was really cool that we were starting to network, that eventually led me to meeting Tuan Mel in in August or September of 2016. And then I went to another seminar in December, and they asked me to go to the travel camp in the Philippines in April. And I was like, you know what? Hell yeah. Because I want to go. I go to the Philippines every year. So I flew out to there. And it's just been ongoing.
So you've been, since 2017, you've been with him and all that.
Yeah. Late 2016 was a start. And it's just been great. He's been very cool, very humble. He always says, train up, go ahead, train with other Tuans, train with others.
Most like not restrictive like that. That's nice.
He says, learn, if you can learn, it's all good.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You can always get something from another lens on how they do it. It's like in KI.
Yeah,
you can limit yourself to one source. Never understood that.
Yeah,
I'm going to rob myself of my journey. I just never understood.
Well, he's really cool because he has a lot of groups around the world, and it's he's been supportive of every group like you wouldn't believe. A lot of people are very grateful for his stuff, and I got to meet a lot of great people all around. Yeah.
Wow. So what do you okay, so with respect to Tuan Mel, but he now, if I'm not mistaken, he still resides and lives in the Philippines, correct?
Yes, he does.
Okay, so you obviously bring him over and okay.
Yeah, so he's gotten accustomed to his and here's the thing about his teaching style. Like anyone who's ever watched him teach and train, his teaching style has not really changed because of Zoom. It actually adapted well and well formatted for Zoom. So all you had to do was hit different angles and talk a little slower. It was ready, well formatted to instruct people via Zoom. So it's really, really cool. And he seems to have taken a liking to understanding. And again, it's supplementary. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to train. I'll never learn anything from being online. But anyone who's been doing these,
I don't understand that either.
like, so
That's why the whole world's doing it, because nobody's getting anything from it.
I'm down for it, you know.
Oh, I just love comments like that. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously I'm being sarcastic, but so when you're okay, so what resonates? You get what I mean, like, as far as him as a teacher, for the folks who maybe are watching, maybe know his name, but really don't maybe know how his teaching style, like what really resonated with you as far as his teaching style and him as a teacher or person?
Well, he's very honestly, it's very similar to both my teacher in aspect, you know, and also very similar with Tuan Jared and a lot of great Tuans like even Apollo. Oh, you know, they have stylized techniques in portrayal of information or conveyance of information, and everybody, you know, it has a nice has a bit of wit about them that they can explain things, make it lighthearted yet serious at the same time, train these aspects, and he's just very engaging. I just enjoy I enjoy training with him. I enjoy training with Tuan Apollo. I enjoy training with Tuan Jared. You know, I enjoy training with GT. Everybody has this unique.
Yeah, absolutely, right.
I think, and that's kind of I think one of the things that really separates, like the most known Tuhans. I like training under. I enjoy training with a lot of people over time. You know, there's Tuan Leslie Buck, great.
Seems like a really just generally a good guy. Just you know, we had him on.
Well, and Morgan, some students, some students are like that because when you have someone who's presenting like they're doing a school or college
watching TV,
like if you're presenting something like a college dissertation way and just or doing story time, all people can do is watch, and that's all good to watch, learn, understand the history of some things. But you know, that's why when I do the seminar with Tuan Mel and whoever else, it's a training seminar. I specifically say training. You are getting up and you're moving.
Yeah, you're moving, right.
You know, we set up a TV. You know, we have, you know, I have that freaking multi-camera set up there, gallery view and looking, so I can watch my students. He can watch his students. We all watch everybody who's doing what, and you know, like anyone who was doing it. So whenever Tuan Mel is doing it and he's watching everybody, I might shoot a message to somebody and say, oh, by the way, you're missing this. Oh, wait, you can do that. So I can try to help facilitate it because, you know, Tuan Mel is going to try to approach everybody broadly because, you know, you have like 30 people, 40, 50 people on a screen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You know, and he'll see whatever the commonality mistake is, he's going to address it. But miss or that's going to take priority for a bit to fix something that something else might get missed. So I like to try to, hey, just so you know, you missed this technique he showed, and they're like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Alvin, how you doing?
Get in there and help. Right. We got Maestro Alvin. Hey, Martin.
Yeah.
FMA discussion.
Hey, Martin. And as for the Pito being, I don't know if that is the Bisudario of Tri-V, but Pito is at the core of Contra Terza Doble Dos.
We got Nick Merchant. Huh?
Nick, man, come back and visit, bro. Where the hell you been?
Oh, you guys are friends? You and Nick? Oh, yeah. Oh, Nick's a good guy.
Yeah, we met at an Santos seminar, and we've been cool since. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and got to catch up at a lot of times, and really cool people. Strata,
Yeah,
mad cool.
100%, 100%.
You know,
So all right. So with that, okay. So let's just what does okay. As far as like obviously, you're spending some time with him and all that. It's like what can you like tell the folks well, like what has he instilled in you as far as your PTK journey? Like what does he try to instill in you as far as you personally?
huh? I don't think he's really tried to instill anything in me.
But
Uh,
not like I mean, far as like what to
yeah,
like, far
I
as how
know.
to carry yourself, how
Um,
to.
he's just been just supportive and
Okay, all right.
friendly. When we've just been able to be cool to communicate with each other, and
So
I
all right, so he's
questions
remote
he
open
answers them.
communication. All right, okay,
I think it's really the openness of communication. He's like that with everybody.
awesome. Okay,
He's
well,
like
hey, I think that's a great asset as far as a instructor to have. So,
he
uh,
freaking knows almost every single person's name he's ever connected to from every seminar from around the world. And I'm
so
like,
obviously a good memory.
not that good.
Yeah, yeah. Geez, wow. When so what do you? Okay, so you kind of alluded to it. What is he? Well, I'll come back to that. But as far as with Tuan Mel, your focus, it could be, this question can be kind of geared towards both of you. You know, but more so you since you're on. But what is the focus of weaponry? Do you mostly focus on blunt or edge weapon, or equally both?
Geez, that's a interesting question, actually. I like to say that I approach it as a bladed art almost since the day one. I even though we're doing the stick, even when we first did live stick, we do techniques and then we approach it kind of a very kendo-esque approach or point sparring approach if you want live stick, so it's still sting like hell, you know. um, and this is a cut, this is a hack. Depending on how strong the hit, it would either through or not. So you understand the implication of the impact of the weapon. And yes, blunt trauma, and then we do go over blunt aspects versus bladed aspects because you're not going to do a double reinforced grip with a blade,
Right, right.
right? Yeah,
Where are my digits?
right. You know, there's obvious reality, and the weight is going to transfer differently. Um, moving, you can't do certain movements just haphazardly because I tell my guys when you practice training, if you ever feel if you stab yourself in training, you stab yourself in real life.
Yeah.
You do a load, you do this. Oh, ha, ha, ha. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
stabbed yourself.
Right, yeah. That's like,
Whatever.
yeah.
Don't be stupid. I also tell them you drop a stick, it's 50 push-ups. So.
Oh, I know. I teach the kids when they drop the stick. Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, next one, you drop a stick. But all right, no, interesting. So, all right, let's get okay. Far as when did you? Let's get to when you started. You kind of referenced it before. You kind of started teaching circa around 2012, if I recall. You kind of mentioned
Yeah.
that date.
In 2010, my friend started the school Nomad, Nomad Kali, Guru Victor. Matasna Guru Victor and I came up training under Mandala Virgil. And he started teaching at that time. And I got invited to come out to help teach because it's a lot easier to teach techniques to brand new people with somebody else who kind of knows the material, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually since then learned how to teach. Even if I didn't have anybody who knew the material, I could give them enough instruction that they'll understand what to do. Now, about 2 years later, some personal things happened in life, and he had to step away from teaching, and he was telling me, Royce, you can quit too. I was like, nah, I'll keep doing it. I don't care. And I took it and ran, and I tried to make something out of it, and it gave me enough reason to look into finding instructors to learn under that will help either reaffirm, educate, or develop, or whatever my current knowledge and understanding of the arts. I think I had a pretty good idea considering I used to in like people who have trouble with people are like you give a person a stick and you tell them that this represents a sword. They're like, but it's round. How's a sword? And I can see it could be a gun, pew pew, but how's it a sword? It's like what you never played like King Arthur or Samurai Ninja and pretend
right, yeah.
sword, and not a single time. Man, you had a boring life.
Yeah, you had a poor misled childhood.
Yeah, like I said, I grew up on kung fu. Man, my mom hated me from how many brooms I broke. so this was and did baseball. Play around with that baseball bat, boom, boom. I used to watch Conan the Barbarian practicing the sword swing behind the back and like that with a baseball.
Right.
Every book. I don't know how many kids did that in the 80s. That's what I did, and that led to us always, trying to crack each other, bam, trying to fight each other and see what worked. And then here comes Kali training, and then wow, some of this worked. That didn't work.
Yeah, right.
Learn from that one. So I've enjoyed and learned that to me, it's always been a sword. Like I'm that little kid from who I grew up, playing Dungeons and Dragons. No, I never LARPed though, guys. I never LARPed. I never did live action role playing. That's LARPing.
Yeah, I think it's sword interpretation. I think it's really good for students because I think it cleans everything up. Like they're not willing to trade as much because of the consequence. So I think if that consequence is instilled, hey, look, you guys, if those were swords, you guys would be both. I understand the second interpretation. There's going to be clashes because the less consequence and all that, but I think it cleans everything up.
Switches and such, and these are real cool. And I watch this, I can do this. I grab the other end, and yes, those are techniques for stick applications.
Right.
The beauty is that the platform is very well rounded. That you have techniques that will carry over from impact versus edge, long, short, extra long, Sibat, right? To empty hand, flexible weapons. So it's amazing the techniques that just carry over, even to weapon retention for law enforcement. It's great stuff that a lot of people just don't see, and once you apply a nice solid fundamental foundation that makes it either easier for people to learn, but if you educate them on how you do things and that they see it, it can develop or expedite the learning, accelerate their training, and of course give them consistency, which is without the consistency you ain't learning. You're not practicing at home.
No, right. What so you took over the school. When did you, I guess, incorporate teaching PTK fully there?
Day one, we were a PTK school, so.
Oh, right, under Virgil. Okay, so but then now you just been continuing and all that. But what else do you teach there, I guess, besides FMA?
Right. So since we opened up in the Palisades Center in West Nyack, we offered other elements, which is good. We offered to teach kids. We do a Kaiju Kembo mixed martial arts program with Kali implemented into it. Because Kaiju Kembo, if anyone's ever done any Kaiju Kembo, they know that there's some FMA already built in there. Because Siju Emperado was a Filipino Hawaiian who did Kempo and added elements of the Arnis that he knew, whether it was family or whatever. I don't know that full aspect of it. But what we do, and some people who do Kaiju Kempo, whether East Coast, West Coast, or somewhere in between, they add elements of either PTK, Dose Paris,
Or something.
modern Arnis. They trained in a stick art to complete that aspect of the weapons training, and then complete their Kaiju Kembo or American Kempo, whatever program.
Okay, so now, I mean, present day speaking, I mean, so like you're teaching FMA, do you have a program that's just pure PTK,
Mm-hmm.
or is it more, and second part of the question, do you teach kids FMA?
So we do. We have a breakdown of a program. So we teach. We have an MMA class. We have a Kaiju Kembo class. We have combat jiu-jitsu class. We have a fitness class, and we have a PTK class. The PTK class is we have it at from 12 to 1:30 Monday through Friday, and 9 to 10:30 Monday through Friday, twice a day. That's our foundation program. It is what we're known for.
Okay.
The other program we just started offering it, and people do take advantage of it and train with it. And we are teaching the children Kali.
Oh, good for you.
With the little ones, but some of the older kids, I had some kids from the previous school, and I'm teaching them, and I'm working on developing them further. They're mostly adding another layer to their program from ages 9 and up, because that's a good program to develop the kids. But they already have they're a little more.
Yeah, focus, attentive. They got some. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
And I got a couple of kids that came up really good, and I have a young lady who's fantastic.
I think it's just. I think you're going to see that grow and grow more kids getting into it because, I've been saying this for years. If we don't get the kids involved, I'm not sure how we're going to continue to perpetuate FMA because we don't have farm teams. You look at traditional martial arts, Taekwondo. If you use a Taekwondo model, look at their farm program. You know what I mean, so to speak, the kids, and then I mean, like, we have to get kids involved. We have to.
Especially now, like, well, you don't even want me to get into the whole, no, it's not okay to quit, Billy. Kind of.
Billy.
Or Jojo, Janie, whatever, and when your parents say, it's okay, honey, it's okay to quit. No, it's not. Don't tell the kid that now early. Yeah. And every single time you need a little bit of adversity,
I know. Yep. Starts that trend. Yeah.
Nah. And then they wonder later on in their teens or in their young adult life.
You're an adult, not even teen, right?
Adult life that they're not nobody who every time he keeps losing jobs, locked in his basement.
Well, anytime they're hit with adversity, they quit.
Yeah, they're conditioned at an early age.
No, I know this generation. I know. I know we have to. I have the same feeling. I guess maybe I'm just not as vocal, but it's. That's what it says. It's a major.
That's what we're doing now, and we've had our fair share of parents who are like, oh no, we couldn't quit. Like, see, and we have these explanations. We have more parents that understand this better than the ones who quit because they understand. Hey Brian, what's up, bro?
Matthew from okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Matthew. That makes more sense. Yeah, and again, he was a Filipino Hawaiian. I believe it was part of his family growing up. So
yeah, no, it sounds like a unique kind of blend. So, wow.
Yeah, it's I enjoy it, and even my instructor did Kaiju Kembo also.
Right.
As well as Shingi, and he also did Taekwondo, black belt Taekwondo. So, he had that foundation already. He had a lot of training, Okay. So, and you see it in how he moves, the mechanics, and of course, he then later trained and added BJJ. And so you see the organic nature of his motions.
Yeah, no, So I got a question here that was sent to me because we're kind of on your teaching, and it was sent to me by Clive. Apparently, it sounds like he maybe did your Zoom class. Guy lives in England, Clive.
Yeah, Clive is really cool. He's very
really good guy. Really supported the channel. Really good guy.
Yeah. And he's like, I'll do like these Zoom. Well, not Zoom, like workout live, but then I stopped doing it because freaking Facebook we turn on a radio and just listen to music and train, and then it's like, your video has been muted. It's a radio. I can't control what's coming out of it except for
I mean, right.
But whatever, that was annoying. But he's been really cool and
Mm.
very supportive. And yeah, and Martin, I do agree with that. That's you're
Oh,
right.
100%. What you just said there. Yeah, right. How else do you deal with adversity when it comes to you? If you don't start dealing, I mean, my parents hit me on the butt with a stick that tell me how to overcome adversity. Yeah, Eric, I think that would
Only a stick. You're lucky.
I think there would be some motivation there. Yeah. Oh, we got Brian Everett from Oregon. Hey, we got Dana. All right, folks. If you're watching, yeah, tell us where you're watching from and smash that like button. All right, so okay, so it sounds like your school's doing pretty well. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get back to Clive's question. Sorry. So Clive's question was basically he took again, obviously experience your teaching and all that, and what he's wondering is any plans of you traveling doing seminars?
Mm, I would like to. That does take a bit of structure and support. I'm
Hmm.
probably going to be helping on some occasions. I'm kind of starting that now, helping Tuan Mel. When he
Okay.
gets to travel throughout the states, I was able to go with him to Virginia
Oh, that's great.
and New Jersey recently. So now I'm heading out to Vegas next weekend after this seminar. So I'm going to help where I can, you know, and of course, learn and do more. I would love, there are plans for some big plans here in the states. There are big plans in South and Central America
Mm.
and Europe.
Okay.
So it's cool. There were big plans for the Philippines, but I don't think I'll be able to go back considering of all the craziness kind of going on
It's
there.
just a cold, yeah, and then the quarantines, and depending if you're to or fro, and we're trying to bring. Presently, I'm working on trying to get Brandon Ricketts to come here, and
Nice, yeah.
or experience the challenges. Like, I mean, not yet. I mean, I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but just we're kind of dealing with. Okay,
Yeah,
well, are there going to be any quarantines? That's what we're kind of figure out now.
yeah. I hear things are kind of being worked on there, but when
Mm.
I was supposed to go, but if they don't change anything by that time, I'm obviously not going to be able to go because I'm going to land in Manila,
Mm.
quarantine for 14 days, go to the island we're supposed to be, which is Sekio, quarantine 14 days, go back to Manila to go home 14 days. That's
Can you
great.
believe that? Like you go over there and you got a corn. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
that's insanity.
I'm good.
Yeah, that's a deterrent right there for I won't be traveling. Yeah, wow. Hi, Dean. I hope you're doing. Oh, hey, Jimmy. Thank you. I am Jamie. Hope you're doing well as well. We got Matt. Okay, Matt, you're Sacramento. I don't know why I thought you lived somewhere else, but okay. That my mistake, obviously. All right, so here. All right, we're gonna let's got a couple more questions and whatever you got to offer us, folks, for the demo. I'm sure they're gonna love it. And when you do a demo, I can drop myself down. They'll make the
Stand
switch.
down, yeah. No, I understand.
Mhm.
All right. What other questions?
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? Absolutely, you've seen a bunch of posts regarding the empty hand in FMA. I mean, I don't care. You can go in there with blinders on, man, and you're still going to see it, whether you wanted to or not. In my case, lately in FMA discussion, man, I go in there and I'm like, God, please tell me that
No.
I don't need to like remove anything or anybody, and it's going to be smooth sailing. And then I open up my eyes, and I bounce back. Oh, okay, that makes sense, Matthew. All right, I knew
Um,
I could have sworn you didn't live in. Yeah, okay. So I'm not crazy. So what do you think? Okay, your overall lens, without getting political or extremely historical, whether it's a Western creation, as far as Pontucan, what came out, the Anasano blend,
yeah.
yada yada.
So,
Your lens on FMA with regards
too
to
empty.
empty.
So here's the reality. I said it before. Some people saw that comment. I'm going to say it again because it's been around since God knows how long, right? Empty hands comes from weapons. That's plain and simple. That it developed from there. Whether it was karate, Okinawan karate, kung fu. You see, half the techniques you see in kung fu, empty hand stuff comes from weapon training, whether sword and shield, spear, staff, right? It's all there. Same thing in FMA. That's the reality. There's
Mhm.
no point of contention. Whether FMA had an empty hand system or techniques or not is irrelevant because it was going to happen no matter what.
I think that's the thing what you just hit on. I obviously they had something. I mean, come on.
Yes, he did.
I guess the big question is, was it systematized like CLOD was? And the question probably, and the answer, without me obviously knowing for sure, I'm guessing probably not as much, or very little system.
Well, again, like it takes a while for systemization to really come into play. Some aspects of it may have been, because ultimately everybody's going to understand that. Well, here's the foundation of techniques, and then what are they going to extrapolate from that to explain it into what's going to become your empty-hand application. Even boxing back in the day came from staff work, quarterstaff work. So
like Queensberry and the whole
Queensberry rules from pugilism, aka pugilism.
Yeah.
Pugilistic, and you had a pugil stick.
Okay, that's all right. Fascinating. Yeah, no, that's fascinating. Yeah, I totally agree. I think they obviously had something.
Yeah.
Obviously, maybe there's no. I mean, if you look at the Western aspect of dirty boxing, Pantukan, Panajachman, things that kind of came out of the academy, so to speak, and all that. I mean, obviously systematized and all that. I think some of the arguments go when you talk to some of the historians over there is that yes, those terms, you never heard those terms. They're not here. They're Western terms. You know what I mean? So I think there's argument is there's an aspect of the terminology, of course, the nomenclature.
Yeah.
And then the aspect of the hit, whether systematized, and then lastly, whether or not they had it, which is absolutely ridiculous. They had to have something.
Look, okay, let's face it. Pantukan, it's been stated, whether it's true or not, we all heard the stories. It was because they didn't want to call it Suntukan because it sounded too much like Shotokan. All right.
Right.
That's true.
Which I probably should just called it what I figured it was. Yeah.
Correct. Now, Pantukan, okay, we get that. That's a American Filipino conception of name, conceptualized name. Okay, let's move on from that. Okay. It still came from Filipinos. It came from the Philippines. Okay. Are we still gonna just trash them because?
Yeah, like God knows what the Stockton guys. I mean, what they brought. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think one thing is just like I just find it. I think what I find most compelling and interesting is how much they'll continue to like beat a dead horse in the ground, like just going over and over and talking about it. And I'm just like, and these people, when they bring up something, they think like they're bringing up a new thing, like this new revelation or like this new finding with regards. And it's like, this has been covered like how many times?
Well, you don't know. They see stuff and people talk about it in the videos like, oh, check out this really cool technique. And wow, I never know I could do this and that. I'm like, we do it all the time.
Yeah. That's been here since the mid 90s, late 90s when Paul Vunak came out with Black Panther tapes.
Yeah, but again, even techniques. I've watched techniques. I'm taught techniques, and recently, and I'm like, I did that. Didn't know it was called that, but I did that. We're all gonna come across techniques because there's, again, those who know me and those who've heard other people talk about it, we are, for the most part, two arms, two limbs ahead. Yeah. So yes, some people have
pretty much anatomically the same, right?
Yes, there are limitations that some people have over others, whether born without or disabled or external situations happen. But ultimately, there's only so many ways our bodies can move, and there's only so many ways we can make them move, and there's only so many ways you can swing a stick.
That's it. That goes with empty hands as well. So.
You're gonna learn it eventually. Whether they call it, whether you call it florete, doblete, or circular strike, or flywheel, or whatever. It's who cares?
It has a circular motion. Yeah. All right. Well, that was good. I think we handled that well without getting overly political or hurting anybody's feelings.
Well, someone will still be offended, but let's face it, I don't really care if they're offended.
You know what I mean? I think we did our best. But at any rate, what's your lens on sparring, or I should say part one, and part two, how do you incorporate it or gradually bridge it to your students?
That's a very good question. So yes, sparring, much must do. Firm believer of it. I've had enough knocks in it. I'm good. I'll take whatever I can until my body says no. It's reality. How do I bridge to it? First thing first, after developing the basic mechanics over a couple of months or so, if they've had consistency, then you work elements of contradas and recontradas, the basic elements of that. And then you develop into defanging a snake, defanging snake.
Mm.
People have said, oh, I don't believe in defanging a snake. It makes no sense. That's a whole other thing. Reality is defanging a snake helps. Guess what? Ever heard of the term aim small, miss small? We do it in firearms, right? Aim small. Right. Why can't we do that with this? If I can hit this hand moving like 500 million miles a second.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. If you can hit a moving fly, won't the center and head becomes significantly easier?
Yeah, the whole point of, where's my chopstick for the fly,
Yeah.
If I can hit something small, fast moving, the torso, which does not move as dynamically as
absolutely,
and it's faster than the eyes, right? I can hit the body. I can hit your center mass.
Mm.
Right?
Argument here.
Period. Mm. So it makes no sense to say, well, it has no value, because it does.
No, hand hunting has an absolute value. How do you want to develop your accuracy, your speed, your non-telegraphic?
And that also forces you, again, that leads into the concept of hit but don't get hit. Mm. I don't like sparring and training with body armor, gloves and helmet. This is what we've done.
I know I have
think like hell, but guess what?
The vest or whatever. Yeah.
I can't stand it, because you know what? I've lost matches because this freaking armor is draping down this far down. I get hit there. Point. What the hell? Point. All the air. Point. Yet my opponent, I went pop. I split his head 5 times from Sunday.
Yeah.
But I'm getting whacked with teaks all over this body.
Yeah, because of the accumulation. They're going on a point system. So like, even though you might hit the head with that would probably make them unconscious or temporarily unconscious. Yeah. The fact that they're able, corticobatas, they're able to whip and accumulate points.
And had I known that was really the thing, my first experience was like really.
Yeah, I've heard that from many. Like but you're not alone though. I've heard many people I've found that experienced that frustration, that they, like they would do something, that which they thought would really resonate, like an outcome, but.
And what happens is the armor makes people fearless.
No, there's a lot of crashing because to get the corticobatas off, I mean, they have to be in close to wheel them off.
And you know what? If it works for them, it works for them.
Here's the thing: when I say to them, is it my cup of tea? No. However, if it makes them continue FMA, if it puts a smile on their face, and who the hell am I to say what they should or shouldn't do? If it makes them happy.
Right. Now, I would tell them, if that's all they know how to train in, that they should try experimenting with padded sticks without the body gear.
Yeah. At least try it. Sure.
And it becomes a big difference when you're getting, we've had a guy just like all like black and blue welted up and not liking it. They take the hits, but they don't like it because we're using the pad.
No, I know.
But they realize the implication of what that means.
Yeah. It's like, I think it's okay for us to suggest, without like crossing the line of like, where.
Try it. I'm not saying you like it. No one likes it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, when it comes down to individual journey, who the hell are we, any of us, to tell what somebody should and shouldn't do?
Right.
I know it's a hard, and I've been guilty of that. Like some 13 years ago when I had it's been closed down, and I was really pushing the sparring. I was, but I tell you, what happened? I just basically aggravated people. It's not like I got this big following and people like changed. Nothing. I just basically pissed people off. So you can go out there, try to push that envelope, but good luck, man. They're going to do what they're going to want to do and what makes them happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's just the way it is.
So, and it is what it is. Some people, it takes a while to get them to acclimate to new ideas.
Yeah, then
or not.
they have an interest. They want to try it with no gear, or they want to reduce the gear. And
Yeah,
some, yeah,
like I was looking into ways to changing things up. I had actually bought like different types of armor to use that's not
mm,
FMA, but it didn't have the hanging. I was all prepared, like, oh, we'll see how this goes this time, mother. Like I'm not, you're not gonna get the same things on me anymore.
mm.
Right, but some places are stricter with the rules. That they only do this. They only
Yeah, right. Depending on the rules, their structural rules and their engagements, and yeah. But hey, I'm ready. All right, folks, I'm ready for your demo. So whatever you want to show, I'm sure everybody here is gonna love it. People love live demos, so whatever you want to do. I'm gonna
um,
lower myself, and then when you're done, I'll bring myself back up.
not a problem. All right,
Okay.
guys. So knife work.
Yeah.
We all
Do
love.
whatever,
We all
do
love it.
whatever you're feeling. Do
Right.
whatever you're feeling.
So
All right, I'm going to hide myself now and do a disappearing act.
so we all know your thrusting slashing motions, right? So I like to flow with these a lot. So and this comes into play with empty hand techniques a lot. But one thing I want to touch upon is the flick or the flicking jab motion, so you understand where it goes. So when you're doing stuff, like you see, I'm just doing simple upward thrust slash upward thrust, horizontal slash down jab, right? Upward thrust slash upward thrust slash, or clear, right? Lateral thrust and jab. This is all stuff found in every style of FMA. So this allows me to move my hands so I know where I'm going with the techniques. And you can do this with any kind of footwork you want. It doesn't matter which foot is forward. It doesn't matter if you're sitting down or not. I got you, Eric. So I'm seated. Right? This works very well. A lot of people ask, this jab, sometimes you see techniques and you get this reverse thrust. Some people try to turn and then thrust. By the way, don't do this, guys. It's very weak, to do this. But when you rotate, it's one thing. Or if you come from a loading point, it's stronger. So when you do these motions, it's right there. Thrust, slash, thrust, slash, thrust, jab. Thrust, slash, thrust, jab. Thrust, slash, thrust, jab. These are just little elements of bridging. And you notice the hands. I tell my guys, live hands. Live hand keeps you alive. Dead hand makes you dead. This allows you to parry, maneuver, and throw your techniques. Reverse grip. Slash, thrust, slash, jab. Right? Slash, thrust, slash, jab. Same technique, right? Slash, thrust, slash, jab. Don't forget to protect your artery, guys. All right? Does that make sense? So whether you're doing, right, or empty hand, diagonal elbow, pull hold, hammer fist, all right? Boom, right? You have an uppercut or punch to elbow, smash, hammer fist, or hack, right? Back fist, hammer fist, right? Hook punch to an elbow, hack, aka jab. Same techniques. Right? So you see the overlap of the techniques. So I want to give you guys a little something that is easy. I like to flow, right? So it doesn't matter what I have in my hands, right? Make sure you don't stab yourself, right? Make sure you don't stab yourself either. Even if it's blunt, it still hurts. And, I think that if you look at it, you have other motions in it, right? So if my hands are in my fighting positions, I have uppercut strike, boom, elbow, smash, or blocking, parrying, back fist, parrying, hook, jab, or back fist. Same mechanics. Double knife. Pakal grip with sock grip. Sock grip, pakal grip. Make sense? Any questions?
Awesome. 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 I think the feedback was good. Nick Merchant, so sexy. So you might want to write that down from Nick.
Come on, Nick. You know you want some. Come on through.
You gotta be careful with Piper. Nick likes to get close and personal.
So I hear.
So you gotta watch Nick. But that was enjoyable. I got a couple closing questions, man, and we'll get you off the chain. And because we're coming up an hour and a half. So future goal. What are your future goals? Future goals for you in the school. What are they?
Future goals for the school. I just want to make it extremely self-sufficient. Right now, like, I feel bad in one aspect because the way I learned, I didn't pay. My teacher taught us for free, and I tried to implement that. So my way of doing things is that the funds pay for keeping the lights on, keeping the doors open, keeping the gear there for people to purchase, so they have uniforms, and sticks, and training knives, and sarongs, and whatever I can that's necessary for the school, right? So I would like to make it happen to that effect that where I can then now teach and even maybe teach privately or develop something where I'm doing seminars like the others and make a little bit of funds just for daily necessities. I don't want for much, I already have a roof over my head. I have a vehicle. I can I could travel. I just want to keep things self-sustaining and moving and be able to live comfortably. I'm not here to be like super supreme grand poobah with cherry on top with billions of dollars. That's not me.
No, that's awesome.
I rock an Apple Watch. I got no jewelry. No tan lines of jewelry except for my watch. That's all.
That's awesome, though. That you obviously it shows that you really care about your students and you want them. I mean, I'm hearing that from you. You know what I mean? You can't mistake that. So your intentions are obviously good. So I think everybody can feel and hear that from you.
Yeah. And I just want people to see that all I want is good people to train with. That's all. If you build it, they will come, right? So when I love my friends, but coming up and trying to train with them was a pain in the butt. So what I have to do? Well, I had to make my own training partners. So I had to teach people in order to train. I developed them, they developed me. Develop them, they develop me.
Yeah, right.
Teach to learn to teach, right? So my goal is to help that, develop that, make the school standalone, and people recognize that it is a quality school. No, I'm not trying to be the best thing since sliced bread. I'm better than this person or that person.
Yeah, I don't think anybody gets that impression of you. So I've heard nothing but positive accolades as far as you go. So whatever you're doing it right. So keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? What positive changes would you like to see in our wonderful FMA community? I can't even say it with a straight face anymore.
Oh wait, how much time we got?
I can't. I'm telling you, man. I used to be able to say that with a straight face.
Yeah.
I can't even do it.
I know. It's look, the whole Easterner versus Westerner thing's got to stop. The whole, and it's not just in our community in general. It has to stop. The whole like, I get it, reverence of a grand master, right? I respect and love my teacher. I respect and love GT. I respect and love Mel. I respect and love the guys who've opened up and allowed me to train with them and have been cool to me. That's what matters to me. It should not change. And differences of opinion should not create such horrific outcomes. No one should be leaving people that they've been with for a long time, unless there's something wrong there. And I feel bad when I hear and see stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, I've been a little privy to certain things, and I feel really bad to hearing about it. I don't want that to happen, and that's why I'm trying to do what I can. I want to help promote FMA, not just Kali, not just PTK. I'll support other groups. Manon Carlito, loved the dude. He was awesome. I fought in Vegas in 2019. Just
you had him on. Seems like a really good guy.
Get him on. He's mad cool, especially people who are like him and Eric and a few others can see that you don't. So even women, you don't have to be well and able-bodied to.
Okay, better now.
But we need to push and develop programs, instructors, and people to do the right thing. Have a good moral compass and train right. With women, a lot of people like every martial art, they think, oh, it's like a boys' club. No, it's not. People, I have women who are taller than me, even doing CrossFit, taller than me, saying, is this good for women to learn? It's like, it's like, man, I am, again, 5'1 3/4" on a good day, with 2 bad knees. What am I going to do? I'm 45. I feel like I'm 450. So.
Oh, what'd you get in your 50s?
I'm probably going to feel even worse. 500, 5,000. We're going. I'm not talking power levels, guys.
Yeah.
They should learn for themselves as well. They should see it. They need to have a good environment to come into. And not everything is
first off, a good environment.
The eyeball and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they're coming in and they look like food. I told you hit something really relevant, important there. Like a good environment to walk into. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people like where I'm at and like who we are in the school, because we're not. I like to keep that Filipino vibe of family. We use a buy-in script that translates to "my tribe, my family" for a reason.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
So that's what I try to promote.
Oh, that's neat. I like that. That was a good answer, man. That was. I got to be honest with you. That was probably the best answer to that question I've gotten to this day.
Woo!
Most people say, and it's not that they're wrong, but they'll kind of go like, well, no politics, none of the fighting. All the drama. You know what I mean? Like kind of, and not that they're wrong. I mean, they're right. Yeah, right. And so they're not wrong, but nobody gave like what you did. So I thought that was pretty special. So good on you.
I'm trying. Like I said, this is a little new to me. So
I think you did great. You did great. Believe me. Doing this 2 years, I got a pretty good barometer as far as those who did really well and those who, so you did really well. So no worries there. So, hey, folks, he will be back with us on Thursday with Tuan Mel. So he's going to be assisting Tuan Mel with his interview. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you two will be doing a demo of sorts.
Yeah, I'll ask him what he wants to do.
Sure, whatever he wants to do.
Empty hand techniques.
Yeah. Why wouldn't we? Wait, is it going to be FMA?
He's Filipino and did a Filipino martial art. Maybe it'll be boxing. No.
So, but yeah. So, folks, again, those who didn't hear, I made there's going to be 3 consecutive interviews. This is the first one as far as PTK. So tomorrow is Tuan Apollo, and Thursday is Tuan Mel with Guro Royce here. So all at 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
so same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to Tuan Apollo too. I haven't seen him in a long time.
I think that's that's going to be I think that's going to be a good one. I enjoy them all. You know what I mean? Like this is built on not just getting the big names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like if you look at the list of people we have had, they're not all been huge names. No. So
I'm a small little name.
Small or no name. You know what I mean? So
good.
But hey man, I would appreciate you. I think you did fantastic. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm gonna be seeing you Thursday again.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. You take care. All right, I'll get you out. All right, folks. Yes, that was a good one. I enjoy that. Yeah, he was a little tentative about doing it, but I'm so glad he changed his mind and decided to come on. I thought he had wonderful things to offer, especially the early dialogue on the PTK, past, present, 64 ways attack, the 12 methods, and to the Tri-V. I thought that was well articulated on his part. So yeah, you heard already who's coming up the next couple of days. So also pay attention after my discussion. We're doing a Christmas raffle, which will help those in need in the Philippines. It's gonna be $5 a ticket. It's not gonna break the bank, and you might win something really neat from it. Brian's gonna do a sword. There's gonna be a donation to Brandon Ricketts is donating a lesson. We got a Baal song donated by he's Morgan and all that. So by all means, that's gonna start this Friday. So more news will come out about that on the group channel there, or the group I should say, not the channel. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to FMA Discussion, where all the monies that we receive goes to charity. We do not keep any of it. You'll be helping us help others. You in turn will be helping others. So that's FMA Discussion on YouTube. All right, folks. We'll see you soon tomorrow, same time.